Good morning, grade 1s and 2s. Today is Monday, April the 20th, 2020. The season is spring and the weather is sunny, finally, and a little bit cool, but nice enough to go outside, get some exercise, get some fresh air, some sunlight. Remember, of course, to be safe. Stay your distance from people who don't live in your house, and make sure you're washing your hands all the time, all day. That's very important. I am ready to start another week of awesome learning, and I hope you are too. Let's get going. Okay, so let's take a look at our cafe menu. What does it say? What does it say? Cafe. So last week we added 2 new strategies to our cafe menu. One under C, comprehension. I can understand what I read. We added the star strategy. So when we're reading or when we're writing, remember, we ask ourselves, does it look right? Does it sound right? Does it make sense? Okay, and the other strategy we added last week was chunky monkey. That's under A for accuracy. I can read the words. So if you come across a word that you're not really sure of, look for familiar chunks that you know. So like the CH, 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 n, k, e. Remember, Y at the end of the word often says the E sound, okay? I hope that you're practicing all your letters and sounds still at home. Remember, we are working on seeing the sound, so maybe you can show your family what that's all about, and practice, practice, practice. Today, I want to add 2 new strategies to our cafe menu. The first one is make connections, and we're going to learn more about that in just a minute. And the second one is called Flippy Dolphin. Flippy Dolphin is a reading strategy that goes under A for accuracy. I can read the words. And what Flippy Dolphin does is he tells us to switch the sound of a letter to see if that makes sense. So, for example, you know that our vowel sounds have a long sound and a short sound. So for I, my name is I, and I say I is the long sound, and I say I is the short sound. So when you use Flippy Dolphin, you want to switch any letter sounds to see if that makes sense. So if I'm reading this, full I, p, E, fly pea, that doesn't make sense. So we're going to have to switch that vowel sound to the short vowel sound. Full I, pea, flippy. That makes sense. So Flippy Dolphin, you will usually use with our vowels, A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. That silly Y has lots of vowel sounds that we already know. Sometimes you might want to use it for a consonant sound too. Some of our consonants have more than one sound. We know with our letter G, it could say g, 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 like goat. It could also say j, 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 like giraffe. So Flippy Dolphin might tell us to switch that sound and see if that makes sense. So today I wanted to start with a new poem of the week. Now this poem of the week is called, let's see if we can stretchy snake this word out. Now C usually says k, 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 o, eight. Calibrate? That doesn't make sense. I'm going to switch that sound, use Flippy Dolphin, because I know C sometimes says s, like an S. So let's try that. Celebrate. Celebrate, that makes sense. Celebrate the earth. Reading with me. Celebrate the earth with me, the oceans, meadows, mountains, trees. I'll celebrate the earth with you, the flowers, people, creatures too. Let's celebrate the earth together, new green grass, exciting weather. Celebrate the earth with me. Let's share delight in all we see. Now, before we continue, I want to talk about this word delight. Delight is what I would call a juicy word because it is not a word that we use every day, but maybe it's a word that you can start using more often. Now, when we find juicy words, where do they go on our cafe menu? If you said E for expand vocabulary, you are right. I can use new and interesting words. So let's look at the sentence that juicy word is a part of. It says, celebrate the earth with me. Let's share delight in all we see. What do you think that word delight could mean? So when it says, let's share delight in all we see, another word that we could use for delight is happiness. Delight means with great happiness. So let's share delight in all we see. Let's share happiness in all we see as we celebrate the earth together. So today I said that we would be adding the strategy of make connections to help with our comprehension. Remember, comprehension means I can understand what I read. So let's talk about making a connection. What does it mean to make a connection? Well, making connections means that you use your schema to understand text. Now, schema is a new word for us. We haven't talked about that yet. So I'm actually gonna do this with that juicy word, schema, and let's talk about what that means. So your schema is all the information that you already have in your brain. It's all the background knowledge, we call it. So this is all the things that you've already known and learned from maybe your life, your experiences, people that you've talked to, books that you've read. It's all that information that's already in your brain. So when you make a connection, you use that information to help you understand what you're reading, the text. So there are 3 kinds of connections that you can make. The first type of connection is a text to self connection. So that's when you are reading a book maybe, and you can make a connection to your own life. So you might say something like, this reminds me of a time. The second type of connection you can make is a text to text connection. So that's when whatever you're reading, the book that you are reading, reminds you of another book that you've read. So this reminds me of another book, or this reminds me of the book, and then you can think of what book that might remind you of. The third type of connection is a text to world connection. So this means that you are making a connection to the book to something else that you saw or you've heard. So maybe it's when you were walking on a walk, or when you were watching a movie, or a conversation that you had, or something maybe your teacher told you. So these are all the different types of connections that you can make when you're reading, and that helps you to understand what you are reading. So coming back to our poem of the week, I have made a couple connections. So my text to self connection is when it says, celebrate the earth with me, the oceans, meadows, mountains, and trees. So my connection is that I have a sister who lives in BC, British Columbia. It's another province in Canada. And in BC, there are lots of mountains and trees, and it's right by the ocean. And I loved seeing all that nature, and I loved celebrating nature and celebrating the earth. So that's my text to self connection. My text to text connection is to another book. It's one of my favorites. It's called Mrs. Fox's Class Goes Green. And it talks about all of the ways that we can look after our earth and celebrate the earth and all the good things that we can do to show our love and our kindness for the earth. So that's my text to text connection. I'm making a connection to another book that I've read. My text to world connection is that, hopefully you know this, maybe you don't, on Wednesday, April 22nd, so Wednesday this week, it is Earth Day. So Earth Day is all about celebrating the earth and making the earth a happy and sustainable place to live. So that means that it's going to be that the earth will be around for a long time, and we're going to take good care of it, and that way the earth will take good care of us. So that's my text to world connection. So let's read through our poem of the week one more time. And I want you to think about some of the connections that you might be making to this text. Okay. Starting with the title always, Celebrate the Earth. Celebrate the earth with me, the oceans, meadows, mountains, trees. I'll celebrate the earth with you, the flowers, people, creatures too. Let's celebrate the earth together. New green grass, exciting weather. So that's another connection I made with the season of spring, because we do have some new green grass coming, and the sun is very exciting weather to me. Celebrate the earth with me. Let's share delight in all we see. Okay, so I have some things to add to our cafe menu. Remember, where we add our strategies for reading and writing to make us better readers and better writers. So I'm going to add make connections under C. For comprehension, I can understand what I read. I am going to add Flippy Dolphin. So that's when we flip the sound of a letter to see if that helps us to read the word. Okay, I'm going to add delight to our cafe menu under E for expand vocabulary. So delight means happiness, with great happiness. And I'm also going to add schema. Now, schema could go under E for expand vocabulary because it is a new and interesting word that we can use. And it could also go under C for comprehension, because when we use our schema, our background knowledge, it helps us to understand or comprehend what we're reading. Okay, so schema is a really important one too. Now you'll notice I did try and draw some pictures. Of course, they're not as lovely as the ones that you guys do for us, but I did my very best, and that's all that matters. So your homework this week is to read a book, and I want you to tell me about a connection that you've made to that book. Is it a text-to-self connection? Is it a text-to-text connection? Or is it a text-to-world connection? So I'm really looking forward to you using that strategy to help you comprehend your books this week, and I can't wait to hear about it. So again, if you have not connected as a student to our Seesaw class app, that's really important. I'm going to send out the information again today. And I'm really looking forward to seeing all of your wonderful learning this week and for the weeks to come. I miss you so much. Stay healthy, stay safe, and stay taking care of each other. Okay, sending lots of love to you and your families, and I hope to see your faces soon. Bye.